Hello and welcome to Scott's Garage. Today we're going to endeavor to build a couple of cabinets, rolling cabinets, that these two pieces of equipment can sit on. These are very useful and used equipment whenever I'm doing a project. I use them a lot. And it's great to be able to move them around a little bit, which I can't in their current configuration. This one's on sawhorses, the other on an old workmate, which is cool. But I'd like to use the sawhorses for other things. Seeing as how my table saw is on locking rollers, which works great. I pull it out, lock it in place, and then I can work on it anywhere in the garage. And the shop vac is, and my little stool here, which is super handy. All right, so I've got a design. I think we can move forward. I ordered some casters and some hinges for some doors, and I think we're ready to move forward.
Just an imbecile. I will only complicate you. Trust in me and fall as well. I will find a center in you. I will chew it up and leave. I will work to elevate you. Just enough to bring it down. Maybe what you whisper, something but the passing line. Mother Mary, what you whisper,
As you saw from yesterday, arduous task of going to Home Depot and getting 3/4 thick plywood, full sheets of 4x8, loading them in the van and unloading them. It's a lot of work to get these things in the garage. But we got it with a little help from a few people here and there. And so we got all those in the garage. I cut out most of the panels. I think I cut them out pretty well and, accurately and everything. And now I think we're just ready for assembly. I was going around and around about how to assemble them. I think I'm going to do the biscuits, number 20 biscuits, the big ones, and then probably put a few screws in there just to hold it together, because I want this cabinet to be really, really robust, like a small cabinet that's really like beefy and strong, because you never know what kind of equipment's going to be put on there, what kind of things are going to be, it's going to be going over rough surfaces and stuff, and so I want this thing to last, so I'm really going to make it strong. And so I think the next thing to do is just start to assemble some of these panels into our finished cabinets. So as I said before, we're making two cabinets. And initially I had it open here. And I thought, I'm just going to put another piece of wood. I had enough plywood that I got from Home Depot. So I can put a piece there, a shelf, and a bottom on each one. So there's 3 of those shelf/bottoms on each one. So times 2, that's 6. So there's the 6 of those. And then sides, 2 each. So there's 4 sides. There's 1 back and another back over here. And so we have all of our pieces cut out. We're not doing the face frame just yet or the doors. We'll just do the carcass at this point and get everything glued up and move on from there. Okay, so we're going to do number 20 biscuits with our biscuit joiner. So we want to change this from 0, 10, and 20 and keep it on 3/4. And I think I need to clean this out a little bit. I'm really trying not to screw this up. If I can get started on the right foot, then I think the rest will go good. So I'm being really careful to make sure that I do this right. So this is the back. This is going to be the top of it. and I want the top to align perfectly, we can let the bottom not align exactly, because that can just go wherever it wants to go. And let's see. So I have this clamp kind of like snug, but not too tight. So this is the outside of the back, and then the side, this is the good side. I know it doesn't look like a good side, but this is the good side. You should see the inside. And it overlays the back, and it's going to do the same thing with when I start putting in the shelves and the top and the bottom and all that kind of stuff. So we'll do that. So what I want to do is I want to put a few biscuit locations here. So it's pretty simple. You just basically do kind of like that and that and that. Okay, so now I'm going to cut from here and then from here. Grab some safety glasses, of course, and then we're just going to line her up with my mark. I can tell that I need to come from this side because my line starts here. All right, so let's get all of our glue up stuff ready. Wow, I don't have that many number 20s. I think I may need to buy a few more. I got a couple of clamps here. See, some glue. Let's get a wet towel. Damn. Okay, so now it's just in the process of doing that a whole bunch more times. It's a bit of a slow process here. I'm sort of clamp limited. Each one of these things kind of takes a lot of clamps, and I can't really do multiple at the same time. So I kind of just have to put them in place, glue them, wait for it to dry, and then move on. So this is the first cabinet that I'm making. I have the bottom, the shelf, side, back. I need to put the top now, and then I'll put the side, and then that carcass will be done. And then what we'll do is move on to the next one. I have all the pieces cut out. So I'll just, this is gluing from yesterday. So I can take these clamps off and clamp up the top, mark for biscuits, cut them, and then we'll do some assembly. So let's get going on that right now. Okay, so what I've been doing also is putting some screws in here. Not sure if I'm going to cover those or not, or just paint over it. I don't really know. If there's any in the back, I don't really care about the back that much. But the side, I may do something to dress that up a bit. Oh my, this thing is getting heavy. Ugh. Wow. By the time this thing is done, it's gonna weigh a ton. The biscuit slots cut. We'll just add some glue, add the biscuits, and clamp that thing up. Okay, I think this is probably a good time for a mid-project update. So we have the two carcasses completely assembled, and I know it was just a minute or two on the video, but it actually took me 3 days to to clamp all of those together because kind of each panel seemed like it took a bunch of my clamps and didn't really have many clamps left over. I had some 24-inch clamps and they weren't big enough because it's like 30 inches, so I really couldn't use some of the clamps. So I kind of had to do them almost like one panel at a time, and that's why it took me like 3 days. I was doing like 3 glue ups a day, and finally got both carcasses done, and we're moving on to the next steps now. I started gluing on the face frame, and you can see I've literally used every clamp in the shop. There's a couple of little small ones that I have that I didn't use, but pretty much all the clamps have been used. So next steps, take all these clamps off, put on this piece here, which I've already cut here, and these pieces are loose. We have to glue those on. We're going to glue those on with some biscuits and glue and clamps, and let's get going on that right now. Okay, here we have it marked for some biscuits. Just need to cut those, add some glue, and some clamps. So now we'll just do the same with these two 3/4 inch thick pieces. We're at the point where we want to put on the casters. Okay, so obviously this is upside down. So the top is there, this is the bottom. And we're mounting these casters, and they're cool little casters. And there's a few things about this that are a little bit tricky. So you think, oh, just drill some holes and put the casters in, nothing to worry about. A few things you want to consider. The height of the caster. So this is approximately 3 inches. I wanted to be 33 inches on my total height, so I had to make sure that when I made the cabinet, I made it at 30 inches. So this would add 3, I'd be at 33, so everything is even. My idea is that I want the table saw and the chop saw and the router and all these tables to be basically the exact same level, 33 inches. Another thing to consider is this is the floor. So obviously when this is spun around, this is going to be the bottom of the cabinet. And I'm going to be sliding a lot of things in and out of here. So you can look at this photo. I had to come up with a way of not having anything protrude into the bottom of this shelf. So you could put the bolt and a nut and things like that, but then you're going to be sliding things in and out and it's going to be catching on it. I didn't want that to happen, so I came up with these little T-nuts that have these sharp little teeth. You drill a hole, you put them in, and then the screw sucks them right in until it's completely flat. So I can slide things in and out without worrying about them catching on anything. So I have my holes and I have my drill, and so I made it the diameter so that this barrel would slide into the hole. And you can just plunge it right through there and drill a hole, but this is plywood, and what's going to happen is it's going to bust out the other side, and that's going to be the inside of my cabinet. It's going to bust it out and it's going to look really, really bad. So what you have to do is you have to put a backup piece of wood underneath there, and let me show you how we did that right now. So when we were doing this caster, it was pretty easy because you can even see the holes that I drilled, because you just put it up in there and then put a clamp, and then you can go ahead and drill your holes and it'll drill a nice hole, nice and clean. But what do you do with this back one back there. I can't really get a clamp on it. So what do? And I want something like this right in that corner. And so what I did is I measured this height and I just cut a piece of wood that's a little bit bigger than that height. And then you can put it right in here. Little point right in the center there. Let's pull that out. That comes out. There are nice holes. And we have nice holes right there. Okay. And then you have your T-nut. Just put that in there, and the spiky things kind of hold it in place. So you can do this. You don't have to hammer it all the way in, because when I put my screw in, it's going to pull that right in there nice and flush.
Ladies and gentlemen, the doors!
So we have the cabinets all made, and we know the opening, the size of the opening. So I created myself a little bit of a plan. We're going to do the same kind of doors that we've been doing on all the cabinets around the house. And I have all of my parts cut out sizes, ready to go. So it's just a matter of hitting the saw and doing it. The horizontal pieces, I need 8 of them for the 4 doors. 2 cabinets, 4 doors. I need 8 horizontal pieces at 8 1/4, no, 8 1/8. And I can probably do that now. I have some nice 1x3 poplar, which is actually 2.5, as we know. And gotta take the labels off that before I can cut it, and then we'll get to cutting. Now these labels that Home Depot put on are kind of the bane of my existence. And this is about the best way that I found to peel them off, is if you just kind of do this. And you got to get your angle just right. But if you do that, it comes off. And it's still a little sticky, but not actually too bad. All right, we just need to do that 7 more times. We've got all the rails and stiles cut out to size for the 4 doors. And the next thing to do is we're going to route the groove for the panel using our router. It's all set up, and we just need to groove them. These will be grooved completely. These ones will only be grooved a little bit past this point right there. Okay, now I just continue to do on all, I don't know how many, lots. And I'm also going to measure the center of this and put a mark for my biscuit. Normally I would just like guess and just, but this is a 0 biscuit, and it's a pretty tight fit in there. I don't want to mess it up, so that's what I'm going to do. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. All right, I have all, those are 3 of the doors. Our 4th one's over here. Perfect. Okay, now I just have to do that 7 more times. This is my little fixture to try to fix a warped door. Some spacers over under the high points, climb down the low points, or the other way around maybe. Not sure. But hopefully this will be flat once it's all said and done. 3 of the doors were really flat. This one was a potato chip. So let's see. Let's see how we did. Hey, pretty good. It's got a little bit, but not much. Not much. I think that'll work. We're here in the painting station, also known as the living room behind the couch, and we're just about ready to put a coat of finish on our machine equipment cabinets, and we're going to put a nice coat of Kilz on the whole thing before we do paint. The paint is going to be a beige all around. The doors are going to be gray, maybe with a beige thing in here to kind of bring everything together. The reason that I do that I assemble these before I do painting, is because a lot of times you need to make some cuts or adjustments or something. You put the doors on and they don't quite fit right. And I know I had one in the back of the hall there that I glued it up, and I wasn't very careful when I glued it up, and it was kind of racked. So when I put the door up, it looked kind of funny. And so I got the idea, I just took a slight tapered cut off of the top and the bottom, put it back up, and it worked great. So if I need to do anything like that, now's the time to do that, not after I've already painted it. And I realized that I kind of glossed over making the doors in this video. I covered some of the steps, but I didn't really cover them in too much detail. There's another video that I'll put a link to in the description where I made some of the other doors. Same style, exactly the same way. They're a little bit different size, but they're made exactly the same way, and it goes through it step by step. So I'll put a link in that in the description if you want more detail on that. But the one thing that I realized that I didn't do is I didn't really talk about these hinges much. So let's go over that a little bit right now. The gap in the middle is nice. They're pretty parallel on top here. And the one thing that I didn't show you is how to remove these hinges. So if you don't want to take the screws out, what you can do is just put these 2 buttons there, and then the door comes off like that. And then it's pretty easy to assemble. Just do the opposite. And you just kind of snap them right in there. Okay, so one thing that I didn't go over is how to adjust these. So the hinges are really nice. They have all kinds of adjustments on them. And what you want to do is get your gap in the middle the same, and you want them parallel. So what it has is the screws right here come in slots. So because you're going to want to be able to move these doors up and down. So that's what this adjustment is. So if you start in the center on both of these, then if you need to move one or the other up or down, you can do that. The next adjustment, if we look in here, is this screw right here. This is the main adjustment that you want to do. And so if you look at how these are adjusted here, what that does is that moves the door. You can move it in or out. So you could make a bigger gap here or a smaller. And it also pivots this way or that way. So this is really nicely adjusted, but if I was to turn this, 2, 3. So just so I screwed that in there, and so you can see now this hits there. What it did is it moved the top of the door this way. And then if you need to just unscrew it like that, all the way. And then you can see that we have our gap is pretty good now, and our doors meet. So you can do that and fiddle around with it and do the top and the bottom until you get all the doors just adjusted right. It's pretty simple. A screwdriver is better than an electric screwdriver because you don't want to, you're just doing fine adjustments. So a regular Phillips screwdriver is the way to go. what I'm going to do now is I'm going to disassemble the whole thing, and we'll get to putting a coat of primer on it. Well, I was rummaging around in the junk drawer, and I found a whole bunch of these. I had them from some project. I don't know where I got them, but I have more than 8. I think I have 10 of these. So my idea was to kind of put them right here and do 2 on each side. So I would need 8 total. My thinking is I had a checkup at the doctor's office the other day, and they had little carts, you know, with equipment and things like that on them, and they had handles kind of up high like this, and it seemed like it was really good. They could just grab on and pull the cart around anywhere that they needed. I'm kind of going for that kind of an idea. So I'll put 2 of those right here. And so also that'll be gray, and I think that'll pull in the gray color that's going to go around these doors as well. Another thing that I decided is I'm going to go with the metal knob. I have 4 of these knobs from some project, and I think that'll look really good with the other gray or metallic elements on there. So I have enough of those. And then I also bought some of this angle. It's aluminum angle, and I'm going to put it in the corner. And the idea of this is if I run into things, if I pull the cart and run into something and bash it, it's not going to hit the wood and dent the wood. It'll go into this. Now, I know this is kind of something that gets beat up. That's the purpose of it. It's sort of a corner impact strip, but I kind of want it to be nice. So what I'm going to do is cut this to size, and I'm going to drill some holes, and then we're going to clear coat it. Then I think what I might do is these cabinets, they have a self-close, but it just sort of, the hinge just sort of holds it closed. I am going to have some, you know, heavy equipment and things in here, and if I'm rolling it around and something falls against the door, I think what I'll do is maybe do like a positive catch, maybe do some of those and put it in here so it catches the door, or maybe a magnetic catch. I don't know, put it up here. And so something that holds the door closed a little bit more securely than just these hinges. Then the last thing that I think I want to do, once it's all painted, is I like these are little Rubbermaid plastic things, and I think I'd like to mount it here, 1 on each side, just for keeping tools and drill bits and little nuts and bolts and things like that. So just to make this really handy and really functional for all kinds of purposes. I'm starting to work on these corner pieces. What I did is I peeled off the label, used some Goo Gone on there, and then I wiped this down with some acetone, and then used a white colored Scotch-Brite pad just to kind of buff out any small scratches or anything. Hey, we're really making some progress here. So we've got the painting all done on the cabinets. The doors are in there because they're kind of a two-tone and they have to be on both sides. So we're going to move on to some assembly with these basic cabinets. Okay, fun with math, fun with math. It's time for math. Let's have some fun. Fun with math. I think we're ready to put these handles on. So as we talked about before, there's going to be 2 handles on each side. And I want these sort of evenly spaced. So I would like it to be like 3 equally spaced sections right here. So how do we do that? Let's get the measuring tape and a calculator and we'll figure that out. All right, so here's how I do this. And you can use it in a lot of different situations for a lot of different things. If you want to put 2 things onto something, your 2 things are going to make 3 spaces. It's a little counterintuitive, but you have 3 spaces. So what you do is you can measure this, which is 19. So this is 3.5. So 2 of those is going to be 7. So 19 minus 7 is 12. 12 divided by 3 is 4. It's super easy. So what we're going to do here is just make some marks at 4 inches. And that's where our handles are going to be mounted. If I just make a line right here, that's the first one. So that should go here. And then if we do this, 4 inches here. For the second one, we should have 4 inches left over right here. And then I have some 3/4 inch screws, so they're not going to go all the way through to the other side, hopefully. There we go. I'll put a couple more here, and then we'll just do the same thing for all the rest of them. The other thing that's going to go on is this impact strip. We're going to put this right here, and I got myself some nice size screws, just about 5/8, and we can just put these in here. I don't think any pre-drilling is really needed. We're just sort of real careful with this. It should go in just fine. Let's see. See if I can get enough turns on it. Yeah, I think so. I think that'll work. There we go. That looks great. I know these hinges close automatically, but what I'd like to do is have some sort of secondary catch. So the idea is to keep these things like flush. So now what we're going to do is we have these little magnetic plates that go on the inside. We can put it on there, and then it has these little grippy, spiky things. I want it to like go tunk and like really catch. Yeah, like that. So we'll put the door, the knob, and the catch on all the rest of these. Well, I think that just about does it here on Scott's Garage. Thanks for joining me. I think we did some really good work here. We made some great looking cabinets, and it's going to be really functional and a great addition to the garage. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.